What's the deal, YouTube? Welcome to my channel, the Comic Book Readers Digest, and today I'm here to give you a quick review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. So I just got back from watching it. Well, I'm not home, as you can see. I'm actually at a McDonald's. So, I didn't want to eat anything in the theater, so I waited till after the movie to, grab something here. But anyway, I want to give my take on it and give you some insight or I wouldn't say prediction, but little theories on how I feel like the MCU is going to play out. This may have some spoilers in it, so if you haven't seen the movie, I would suggest not watching this video and come back after you see it. But I'm gonna try and make it as spoiler free as I can. Well, because it's been out for a while, so I'm gonna have to throw some spoilers in it. Plus, me giving you my theories on how it's gonna play in the future, that's a spoiler in itself, because it might play out the way that I think it's gonna play out. So I'm gonna have to, explain the movie a little bit further. But yeah, so overall, I'll say the movie was good. It wasn't great, but it was good. It was good. It was almost to the true comic book version of Spider-Man, in a sense. Because, like when they did the little screenshots of how the covers were on the comics, that was cool. I like that. My only gripe in the whole movie really is that they didn't give the other characters screen time, and I get it because they can only fit so much in the movie. So, but I just wish they would have had at least, a couple of a little bit longer fight scenes, Other than that, and the biggest gripe, of course, the people, it's already out there. He didn't turn into a man spider. He was on the verge of mutating into one, but because he created that inhibitor shit, it suppressed most of the mutant gene in his body to prevent him from completely transforming. He came close though. He definitely came close. Especially that fight scene when he was fighting the Hand in the prison. That part was crazy. I thought that was the moment he was gonna go into full man spider, but nope, it didn't happen. And I could kind of tell you why, because for those that haven't seen Spider Noir, yeah, you might want to click off this video too. The spoiler in this for Spider-Man Noir, Nicolas Cage actually turns it. Well, he first sees another person being almost completely turned to the man spider, and then he has a vision of him becoming the man spider. Due to mutation or genetic process that this doctor lady was doing, like she was experimenting on the soldiers out there. So that's in the Spider Noir TV series. So if you haven't checked that out, I strongly suggest you guys check that out and then check out Spider-Man Brand New Day. That way you can kind of get a full grasp of why they didn't go in that direction. So yeah, other than that, that's the only best way I could say, at least I got my fix on seeing how the concept of Man Spider through that Spider Noir TV show. But yeah, I mean it was decent that, showing how him not, him being too much more Spider-Man than Peter Parker, kind of affect him in a way. And I like that, how you say, him being more Spider-Man, as a fan of the movies, I like them went in that direction because I want to see more Spider-Man than Peter Parker anyhow. So I feel like they did a fan service of that. Him, he's still trying to figure out a way to get his friends to remember him, but at the same time, he was, doing more crime fighting and, being an overall superhero. Now, as far as the Punisher go, I feel like him being in it made the movie that much better. Just for the simple fact it was a Marvel team-up type of movie. And I just wish my only gripe with him is I wish he would have did. I wish they did a scene of him, fighting crime on his own first before meeting up with Spider-Man. It's like they kind of like just crash into each other, even though they already, flash forward to this, they already known each other for quite a while for it seemed. But I just wish they would have gave Punisher a little bit more. But I like the fact that he had like a nice dialogue scene with Spider-Man, which was good. When it was like a scene where basically, because Spider-Man was kind of being detached, he was kind of like putting his feelings, bottling up his feelings and shit, and being in despair. And it's funny, the man of all despair, the Punisher, had to let him know, like, take yourself out of that. You think this is my life? You think I want it to be like this? No, this is a sentence. So him telling Spider-Man that gave Spider-Man a huge insight on, maybe I need to be more direct and more forward and try to reconnect with my friends. So I like that scene a lot. I love that scene. And I like the scene that when Mary Jane found the letter, and that whole, I was fighting hard as hell to hold back tears, man. And for anybody, I don't give a fuck, you can be the hardest motherfucker on the block. That scene right there is gonna have you teary the fuck up. I'm dead ass. You're gonna be teary-eyed like a motherfucker. Especially if you can relate to the relationship that MJ and Peter Parker are going through. Not in the sense of her, forgetting about him, trying to remember, but just overall her finding out that she's the one that he was referring to as far as the girl that he lost. Because he told her earlier, prior to that there was a girl that he lost, and she had no recollection of that it was her. So I love how that played out. That played out pretty good. There was a lot of good scenes in this movie, man. I'm telling you, especially the scene with the Hulk. Now the Hulk was crazy. The Hulk, when he went Savage Hulk, that shit was fucking insane. That was insane. So, and I love the fact that even Punisher got involved in that, knowing that he didn't stand a goddamn chance against no goddamn Hulk. And then when he finally realized that, once he finally realized he got in over his head, he was like, oh shit, like when his Hulk was coming, then he tried to find ways to avoid him. He was like, you take care of Hulk, I'll take care of the regular bad guys. So I like how that played out. That was dope. That was dope. There was so much, man. It was just so much wrapped into that movie. It was just, it's definitely a popcorn flick for the ages, definitely. And on top of that, it makes you want to see how Doomsday is going to play out. It definitely gets you more hype for Doomsday. Now, as far as Jean Grey go, I like that it centered more her. And see, the thing was, all this time we had theories like, she was going to be Spider-Woman, Gwen Stacy, this and that and the third. But for the most part, a lot of the fans knew it was going to be Jean Grey because of the whole X-Men coming into the MCU. So that was a good way of breaking, an X-Men character and letting people know that this is how, the X-Men starting to jump off in the MCU. I like that. And I like that Jean's backstory had a lot of fucking crazy twists. It was very, like, her backstory is very dark. And to find out, now a lot of people told me this, that in the comics she do have a sister. I never knew Jean Grey had a sister. All my times being a Marvel fan of comics, movies, television, never in my life I knew she had a sister. And I do a lot of research on Marvel characters once they're introduced to me and I like them. I do a lot of research, just like when I did a lot of research on Venom, find out Venom had a son named Dylan and all that. So that's what I'm saying, it's crazy how out of all that. But then again, Jean's not one of my go-to characters like that. She is a powerful force in Marvel, as far as X-Men related and stuff like that. But she just was never like a character that I instantly have to research and pretty much like look up. Like I just look, I just let, just watch as, she evolves, like different versions of Jean Grey from the movies, the TV, the anime shows, and all that. Yeah, but yeah, she's definitely a force to be reckoned with, especially her having the Phoenix pretty much dormant inside her. Yeah, that's pretty sick. But back to her backstory now. She has a sister. All right, her sister pretty much is her older sister, right? So basically, they were sitting in the park, you know, looking at other people, seeing who they could be or who they can impersonate. You know, once they jump in their body, because they telepath. So her sister's a telepath too, so she could jump in the body, anybody's body, and evade. So she jumps into this one girl's body. You know, they having a little fun or whatever. Then she jumps back to the bench where they were sitting. Then she tells Grey, "You want some ice cream?" So she heads to the ice cream truck, because there was an ice cream truck in the park. Then all of a sudden, these fucking, you know, military operatives come in the scene, or mercenaries or whatever. They come and they snatched up Jean Grey's sister, Sarah. That's her name, Sarah Grey. So once Sarah Grey gets captured, Jean, of course, is on a move to go and rescue her. Now she about to rescue her. Sarah, to prevent Jean from getting captured too, she actually fucking psychic jump in her mind and hold her there. Like now Jean's just froze, like paralyzed. She can't move, can't do shit. And they take her away, and then like minutes later, all of a sudden now, you know, her paralysis is gone. So now she can move, but then she can't find her sister. So the whole story was basically with her trying to find a sister, and her and Spider-Man, you know, going at it. Basically, Spider-Man didn't know what's going on, and then he didn't realize the motherfucker Spider-Man was working with, he thought they were working to help superheroes and shit like that. Those are the motherfuckers that kidnapped Jean's sister. So I'm like, God damn, like there was so many twists and shit on it. And then there was one interesting thing. Jean was asking people about V-Man, or it was something V, right? Like she made it seem like it was a group that's what they were called, or it was some kind of cure or some kind of, you know, she didn't know what it was either. She just heard from her sister mentioned something called V-Man. And would you know, or would you behold that the whole time she was captured, her sister was captured in this room where it was like sonic vibrations hitting her, killing her. And then when she looked up, not Jean Grey's sister, but Jean Grey herself, because she was trapped in, once Jean Grey got captured by the same people that captured her sister, she was held in the same containment that her sister was captured in. But then she found out later on, because she kept asking, "Where's my sister?" And then the guy said, we had to sacrifice her for the greater purpose, because they basically were trying to figure telekinesis out, right, and try to use them as weapons. So they hit her with some kind of sonic vibration that Jean's sister couldn't withstand it, so she died of that. And in the same containment unit that Jean Grey was in, that Sarah was in, Jean Grey was in, Jean Grey looked up at the vent and saw the shit she was asking about, V-Man. It was really Vent. It was supposed to really be called Vent, but it was called something. Yeah, V. Yeah, she said V N or some shit. And then that's when it kind of like hit her that, damn, the last thing my sister saw was a vent, and she died in a containment unit. So then, knowing that realization, she went completely the fuck off. Like her whole power went through the roof. She broke out of the containment unit, damn near killed the director of those operatives, and then all of a sudden, Spider-Man came in, to try to, stop her from killing the dude, because he knew that would haunt her for the rest of her life. But then something interesting happened. She goes into Peter Parker's mind. She goes into Spider-Man's mind, and I love this part, because this would calm the ass down. So then, in Peter's mind, he still have a vision of his Aunt May. So the interaction dialogue between Jean Grey and Aunt May was fucking amazing. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It was fucking amazing, and that was another tearjerker scene right there for me. That right there, because with the way she explained to her, like, you know, things happen, and you know, a lot of things out of our control, but we can't let the dark things make us dark. Basically, that was the whole message right there. So I found that was pretty epic right there. And then Spider-Man was, you know, Peter Parker was in his own mind was watching that whole interaction take place. Then he had a little sit down with Jean Grey. They were sitting on the same bed, right? In his mind, it was basically in Peter Parker's room, and they sitting on the bed, just like when Tony Stark was sitting in Peter Parker's bed when he was trying to recruit him. And then remember that interaction that Peter Parker said? He said that when you don't do the right thing, that's when the bad things tend to happen. I love that, because for a minute it was like the young generation was teaching the older generation something, but in this case it was the older generation kind of teaching. So it was kind of like you're redeeming yourself as an older generation to teach the young generation something that they can actually learn. And I found that very interesting. That was good. That was a good callback. So yeah, I mean, overall, between that, the whole movie was fire. Movie was fire. I just feel like there was a little things here and there that could have made it better. But for overall, I was satisfied, and it definitely reached my expectations, how I thought the movie was going to play out. In a sense, that was action packed. You know, a lot of funny scenes. Oh yeah, and towards the end of the movie, right? Ned Leeds, like Ned, he was pretty much, you know, trying to figure out who Spider-Man is, right? So he don't know who Peter Parker is, but he's doing this whole little investigation on who Spider-Man is. Then he created a Spider-Man tracker locator that gives the location of every Spider-Man. No matter, you know, and it's crazy, no matter what universe they're in, it can geographically locate a Spider-Man. And it's interesting because that was one of the post-credit scenes at the end of the movie. After the credits, they showed his tracker, right? And then they showed Spider-Man being located on Earth. Then they said, oh, another Spider-Man I'm sighting, but it was all the way in space. So I'm thinking that's either Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, because he's dealing with the TVA, with Deadpool and shit, because they did leak a scene of that. Or it could be Andrew Garfield going to square off with Dr. Doom and the rest of the Avengers in space on Doomsday. So it's either one of those scenarios. And that right there, that post-credit scene is what got me even more hyped for Doomsday. So I can't wait for that to come out. So yeah, there you have it. That was my pretty much, I know it wasn't too much of a quick review, but it was just definitely a review of Spider-Man Brand New Day. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate and comment and subscribe to me. And I'll definitely be back for that. The next time I'll be back is definitely going to be for that Doomsday video. That Doomsday review, oh, that's going to be like an hour-long fucking review. I'm going to tell you. When I see that shit, I'm going to have a whole lot to say about that shit. Trust me. But yeah, it's your boy from the Comic Book Reader's Digest. And peace out to you guys. Stay safe and have a great one. Peace.